Hey, Rent to Retires, it's Adam Schroeder here with another episode from the Bigger Pockets Conference, as you can tell behind me. And Zach and I are joined today by Ross, our Kansas City provider. And we wanted to talk with him about his market while we had him in front of us. So, Ross, thanks for joining us at the conference and for this podcast.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me, guys. It's been a blast so far.
Yeah, so one of the things I want to talk about is, some people have asked me on the phone and said, hey, you've got properties in Kansas City, but there's also, Independence, and there's, sometimes, Leavenworth and these. And so there are different areas inside of Kansas City. Can you tell us a little bit about kind of what each one might have to offer? Are they that different, or are they just, suburbs that aren't different? Are they completely different? Kind of what do we have going on there?
Yeah, I mean, there's kind of a good mix. I mean, obviously, some of the places like Leavenworth, that's almost not even a suburb of Kansas City. It's actually out there a little ways. So we're kind of getting, a little bit of a mix within our portfolio of, some houses that are, right there in the city, as well as, kind of out off in the woods a little bit, I guess you could say. But, why we like Leavenworth and some of those other kind of surrounding areas is, they've got a lot of the same draws that Kansas City has, just, a little bit different area. I've had people specifically say they didn't like Kansas City. They for whatever reason, they wanted to see something somewhere else. And so that's kind of where we were able to push those other properties in kind of the outskirts a little bit.
We talked about that a little last time with being in those more suburbia, secondary type of markets where it's still accessible to a large metropolitan area, but there's many families moving out to those areas and we see high demand. Those are areas I like a lot, and typically we get pretty quality tenants that tend to stay longer, I think, in those type of areas. Ross, Kansas City has been one of my favorite Midwestern markets to invest in for a long time. It's the market that I started investing in properties out of state, and this was probably 13, 14 years ago. But I've been through significant changes in the people that I work with over many years because no one seems to dial in the customer service aspect of it. We all know we can be in the best market in the world, but if we don't have good property managers, contractors, and the whole team, the investment's not going to perform like we like to see it. And we know with you, we have an expectation of extreme customer service, and that's important to us. But let's talk about some of the systems and things you specifically do when you look at a house and you go through the rehab of it. I mean, and how do you walk that client through the process to ensure that they know they're going to make a successful investment long term?
Yeah. Like you said, I think we've got our system pretty dialed in just from having done it a few times. So, when we get a house, we like to have an inspection report done right off the bat. We're able to share that inspection report with the buyer sometimes, before they even have the house under contract, which sometimes scares them a little bit because, we're getting houses that need a lot of work, but it really brings the buyer into the project, I feel like. So they really feel like they know what's going on. They get to see it all the way from the beginning and, all the way to the end. Part of that system too is the property management company. We get them to come in and take a look at the house, really early on in the process and just kind of give us that kind of other perspective, knowing what the tenants are going to be looking for more than what my general contractor might be paying attention to. So really just kind of, bringing all the pieces together, and just involving the buyer every step of the process. So he's, working with the property management company, working with us, seeing the inspection reports, coming back to us and, working through that scope of work and all the inspection objections. And then at the very end, we actually bring the inspector back out. They're going to do another inspection and then show the buyer everything that we did. And so they're very comfortable with, where the house has ended up with before they take it over. So I feel like just kind of holding their hand through that whole process, making sure that they're aware of what's going on, what we're doing, and then what to expect. Just really brought everything together and has made it a pretty smooth system. So.
Yeah. So there's a big difference. Well, there's a difference. I don't know how huge it is, but between rent ready and retail ready. And I feel like when I've seen, the properties that you're rehabbing, you skew sometimes a little more towards the almost retail ready.
That's right.
Side. So tell us a little bit about kind of what your rehab is and kind of why you seem to skew a little bit more towards the retail side rather than just the straight up rent ready.
Yeah, so basically every house I'm trying to get into the very top end of the rental market. So I want to be able to rent the house for, at the top level in the neighborhood, and that comes along with making it, as nice as possible. So yeah, we call them retail ready rentals. So granite countertops, LVP floors, and just really, everything we can to clean it up. We've got you've seen our color schemes that we use on all the houses, kind of that light gray.
So without getting too deep into economics or politics, I mean, what is happening with Kansas City? We know it's a booming area. We plan to continue to invest there for many years. What are you seeing on the front lines in Kansas City that leads you to believe that this is going to be a strong market long term?
I mean, Kansas City's really always been a stable market. A lot of the people that I've worked with have been there a lot longer than me, and they've been doing turnkeys for, decades. So, I mean, it's been a very stable rental market for a very long time. It's got, major highways, major rivers, major railways. It's really just a stable growth area. It didn't boom maybe as much as some other places did in the housing market in the last couple of years, but it's also going to not drop off anytime soon either. It's going to stay very steady and just kind of keep that kind of slow growth rate, which is kind of what we're looking for. I like to avoid really up and down markets. I feel like Kansas City's just really always been a kind of steady growth area and will continue to be so.
When you look at kind of the time that you've been doing these rehabs in Kansas City, have you seen a ton of rental growth? Because I know during COVID, obviously prices went up, but have you seen rents keeping pace with that? Or, I mean, it seems like your returns are still, in line with where they were, pre-COVID. But can you tell us a little bit about the rent growth you've seen as you've talked with the property manager and said, hey, what can I get for this?
Yeah. Honestly, it's kept pretty steady pace with the price increases. So I mean, our ROI stayed, like you said, about the same all the way through. For the last couple of years, we've been able to keep everything pretty competitive and consistent. So I think that the rents are going to continue to slowly climb and right alongside with the housing market there.
Yeah, we love it, Ross. We love Kansas City. We know that some exciting things you're doing is bringing some multifamily to the table, so we're excited to see that. And Kansas City is just good old trusty Midwest, I think, where we can consistently invest, and those are recession-proof type of markets. We owned properties throughout the 2008 period, and sometimes you have a stronger rental market when things are a little bit shaky economically. So these are your bread and butter houses for long-term investing. Thanks for being an exceptional partner there. Adam, I'll let you finish this off here.
Well, I think we haven't asked one incredibly important question that everybody who's watching this is going to ask, and that is the beard game. How long have you been rocking this beard, and where's it headed?
What year is it? I have not shaved my beard since I got out of the military. My kids have never seen my face. They wouldn't know who I was if I trimmed it off. So, it's funny. I was here and people kept coming up and asking to take pictures with me, and I was like, I think you're thinking about the wrong guy. I'm not Brandon Turner, actually, in case anybody was wondering. So,
all right. Well, Ross, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. The properties you put out, as I've mentioned before, pictures are great. Inspections come back good. So really appreciate you bringing these products to our investors. Everybody head on over to renttoretirement.com, click on the active inventory. You will see the properties that he has out there in the KC market. Again, that's at renttoretirement.com. Thanks for listening to this episode, and we'll talk to you on the next one.
Thanks for watching the Rent to Retirement YouTube channel. Check out some of our other videos, like this one, or this one here.